around the world. This is me, Jeremy Alexander Newsom, with the IR4 podcast. Just want to say thanks so much for our newest patrons who signed up to the IR4 podcast. Really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the content. And for those who have not, feel free to subscribe to either our YouTube channel or come over to our IR4 podcast and click that Become a Patron link and get some goods. We're going to be talking cryptos today, as we do every Tuesday and Saturday. This is the Bitcoin chart on Coinbase, and I'll just zoom out to a weekly chart, kind of give you my ideas of what I'm thinking. 100 simple, that blue line's at 46.22. This is the 100 simple moving average. I still think there's a good chance we can get down there, but I do like and appreciate and enjoy how much this $6,000 mark has remained a support. Here's the 4-hour chart, and the 4-hour chart, you can see just some really quick buying. Came in on the 24th of June, just 2 days ago, and we really just kind of slowly rolled back. So I'm hoping this actually turns into an inverted head and shoulders pattern. If that happens, that actually start happening relatively quickly, and if it breaches above 62, I think we can actually get a little bit of buying pressure coming in on what appears to be just a rock steady drop. So we'll just kind of have to see how strong the support holds. It looks pretty good, but I do kind of expect it to trade a little bit lower into some support. So we'll see. Obviously, I mean, my prediction was it would trade down to this level, get a small bounce, and that's kind of what we're getting now before we kind of roll down more, potentially. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it likely should. Here's Ethereum, and Ethereum doing its best to hold this trend line. I'll show you where that trend line's coming from. But you had this little bit of a lower shadow that came in on the 24th of June when things looked pretty ominous. But here's this weekly chart, and this trend line is still hanging intact, and the 100 on a weekly is at 307.53. So we still got a long way to go. But as I mentioned, and I'll keep talking about this, I still think it's a nice accumulation period, but there's no question that we have lower highs on Ethereum, and that's causing some issues, of course, with just the overall bullish trend. But then these lower highs, you had this original steep trend that broke down, and now you kind of have this one. But the good news is, if this one ever breaks out, we'll get kind of what we got back here in April. We'll get another quick run up, and the question just is if and when that occurs. So Ethereum, if we do something like this and trade down into this area and then kind of bust out of here, that could be a nice little run up. Not to discount the fact, though, it does look exciting, and even though it feels kind of scary, we're still not quite as low as we were in late March, early April. So if we trade down to the support, it is a good support zone, and I can assure you that there will be some buying of some magnitude that goes down in there. But 307.53, really key level on Ethereum, and I know that there will be some people picking up some positions there, most likely. So we'll just kind of have to see. Here's your boy Litecoin, holding on with the skin of its teeth, but breaking down into some really interesting levels, getting down into the 76s, the mid 70s on Litecoin, taking out some massive supports, breaking the trend. This was really the big turnaround candle. And I remember a tweet at some point with Charlie Lee back in here saying that he would stay with Litecoin until he got back to its original, or at least back to its previous all-time highs. Because I think most of you remember that Charlie Lee got out like right there. Pretty much at 400, he sold all of his positions. So anyway, that's an interesting event for sure. And Litecoin getting wrecked right now, breaking through some really good supports. Doesn't have a 100 simple on a weekly yet. But it does have the moving averages like this, right? So it's below all of those. You're gonna have to go to a monthly chart, and you'll see that the 20 EMA on a monthly, which is just baby, is here at 71.10. So that could be an interesting place to pick some up. But I mean, really, the question is just when will the buying come in, and how strong will it be, and how long will it take? But the breakdown of that support on Litecoin was a big deal, similar to your Dash US dollar. So Dash, here's the weekly, only costs $250,000 now to be a master node, when just a few months ago, back in December, so 6 months ago, it cost 1.5 million. Huge stuff, and again, some really big supports down here. So again, the only exciting thing is if you do have fresh cash, if you do have fresh capital, there will be some opportunities to buy at some pretty cheap prices and still regain some interesting volatility. the fun question will just be how much volume comes in and what actually ends up happening. You'll notice that this volume down here is pretty abysmal on Dash at least, and it doesn't look to be like a whole heck of a lot holding it up. So here's EOS, USD, and so Ethereum on Kraken. This again, the US dollar. If we go to the daily chart, turn the long-term moving averages on, right? It broke below there. The 200 hasn't formed yet, but if it does, it's going to be kind of close, about $7. So again, an interesting level. I kind of like tonight's candle because over the next 2 to 3 days, we really will see, if we go into the 4-hour chart, there are some patterns trying to form and actually trying to stop this kind of waterfall that's been happening for about the last day. And we'll see if some buying starts coming in. Some people get exhausted from selling. And again, some buying kind of takes over. But EOS on the Kraken exchange coming into a support. But again, not quite as low as it was in March. So again, that's the semi-exciting thing for some of these coins. Dash and Litecoin are look to be at this present moment two of the weaker, quote-unquote, bigger coins, with Bitcoin and Bitcoin, Ethereum, and really Bitcoin Cash, but kind of, I'll look at that in a second. But EOS does look to be some of the stronger ones. Of course, here is your boy Ripple, and Ripple also not dramatically horrific at the moment, trading down to, again, this key level that was at here in April. So we're here again on Ripple. So we'll see if we actually do get a little bit of a bounce out of here. I mean, we got some strong support. Plus, the wick that came on the 24th was just low enough to make sure anyone who had a stop just sitting out here below here, they got stopped out. Plenty of liquidity here on Ripple. Here's the weekly chart, and if I turn on the exponential moving averages, right, you're below all of those. So it's still tough. It's still going to be a very difficult market. There's going to be a lot of challenges for a while. It's going to be kind of grisly, but you got to experience the run-up. You got to experience the hype. You know what hysteria feels like. And so the next time that it's seen in any market, I think you will all know how to trade it or how to manage it, how to lock in profits, hopefully, pay off things, do what you need to do with whatever you need to do it with. But anyway, long term, I posted not too long ago this little giddy right here, posting someone that said, if you came to Bitcoin for the idea, the price doesn't hurt you. And it's obviously an interesting statement. I would kind of argue that it doesn't hurt you also if you bought this time last year, as you're still plenty up on Bitcoin and some of the other coins as well. But anyway, regardless, what we're doing, what we're looking at is it's at a very key and very interesting level. If we go to 0x protocol, we can look at a few others. So 0x Bitcoin pulling down relatively strongly. So you're getting some pretty decent and interesting drops on that one. Here's Zcash. So Zcash Bitcoin on Bittrex. Also looks like it had its quick little pop there in May, being on the Gemini exchange, and has pretty much returned to normalcy at this support where, if it breaks this support, let's zoom back in here. I mean, obviously it can go lower, it can go to zero, but it's there's a lot of these coins that are at major supports now. So I guess all I could say is if they don't bounce and they don't do it relatively soon, we'll likely see some lower lows. So the last one I'll look at will be Monero, and then we'll look at Bitcoin Gold. Bitcoin Cash. So this is Monero, and the interesting thing about Monero is you do still have an interesting trend line on this one that held itself pretty well. There is still some support left on Monero. You got some levels here, got some levels here. So this one's being held up relatively okay. It's kind of compared to some of the other ones. Stellar Lumen, XLM, USD also trying to do its best to hold, but it's right back at the key level that it was back at in March. So all these things are really interesting to see, and really just I'm pumped to figure out exactly what we do, honestly, in the next few days, because we're at some great levels. So do we bounce? Do we get a few more days of sideways action and then we really break higher? Again, had a gorgeous run and nice little money-making opportunity in April. So we'll just kind of have to see what transpires from here, and we will find out with time. Hopefully this was helpful for your free IR4 podcast review for the coin market update. A lot of great stuff coming your way, folks. A lot of great content, a lot of great interviews scheduled. Stay tuned. New episode coming out on Thursday. You guys rock. And until then, remember, love, live, learn. You're amazing.